Hello there. WeirdShady here, back with some more, I don't know, whatever it is that I am doing. So, the new story expansion for Mortal Kombat 1 just dropped a few moments ago, and with that, I mean, a few weeks ago. And I have been building up anticipation for it ever since it was announced. What do I think about it now, after I have played it? I mean, the title itself should be enough of an indicator for it. 3 dots. You know it's serious when there's 3 dots in both the title and the script. For you who don't know me, I am a massive Mortal Kombat fan. I have been playing these games ever since Mortal Kombat Deception on the good old PlayStation 2 was a thing.
It has begun!
Fun fact, I was actually introduced to Mortal Kombat via the guy who runs the MK Fire and Ice channel. We used to go to the same school. So you could say that I am somewhat of a combatant myself. Anyway, that's not the point. We're here to talk about the big thingy. That is Mortal Kombat Story Expansion : Khaos Reigns. Chaos with a K, of course, because a C would just be preposterous and silly at this point. Where to begin? The story was glorious! No, it was lackluster, to say the least. Don't get me wrong, Mortal Kombat has never had Oscar-worthy performances and award-worthy scripts put to the screen, but it has been enjoyable at best. I have often had the opportunity to turn off my brain in order to get the stories and such with enjoyment for the craft that is the Mortal Kombat games and movies. But just don't check out Annihilation. Please, save yourself the trouble. Okay, when it comes to the story and writing of Khaos Reigns, it's a joke. Seriously, it feels so shallow, empty, so meaningless in a way. I feel like it ended halfway, because it was so short and didn't really build up for anything special in any way at all. The writers didn't really have the time to get into anything interesting, it seems. And then the ending was rushed.
Obviously.
So I am going to tell you everything that happens in the story of Khaos Reigns, because it's just so trash, and it doesn't really have much of an impact on anything anyway. So if you don't want to be spoiled, just skip the video and watch the expansion on YouTube or something. Because I wouldn't really recommend spending money on it, but believe that I did. So, the story starts with Cyrax and Sector kind of training inside of the woods. Cyrax is all about Scorpion's betrayal from the main story, although that's clearly a lie from Sub-Zero and Sector's side of things. Then, Scorpion is to be and to get wed. Sub-Zero and his fellow Lin Kuei minions comes and crashes their party, but fails to do so because the initial goal is to kill his brother. But the minions are trying to kill Scorpion's wife as well. Cyrax doesn't like this one bit and joins the good guys instead, because 10 minutes into the story, it's just revealed that Subby Boy lied to her. And she is so shocked that Subby lied to her. Then he drops to the floor, as we all do after a long day of betrayal, and wanting to kill our brother with a fetish for predatory arachnids. Liu Kang and all his allies, that will pretty much just vanish from the story after this point, send Subby and Sector to the newly elected Empress Melina and her swagger drip, in order to get served a punishment. And then Titan Havoc! From the end credit scene from the main story, comes and crashes their party. Fighting, yada yada yada. Titan Havoc steals Garrus for some reason, wishing to use him to power up his gimmicks with some of these time crystals. Don't ask me, I don't know how that works. Although I did make a playlist about it at one point. So, when Garrus gets stolen from right in front of them, they send a few combatants to retrieve him. Sub-Zero also follows, then gets caught immediately, then gets tortured off-screen, then gets turned into a noob. Cybot? Then the combatants crash Titan Havoc and all the other Havocs' party. Combatants and combatant Chaos variants fight. You get the idea. Emperor Rain, a variant of the High Mage Waterboy, dies after being introduced to us about 15 minutes earlier or something. He dies from sacrificing himself to save his wife, that is a slightly less grumpy Tanya. and the big sacrifice to save his wife from the closing walls from the trash compactor from Star Wars A New Hope had me crying for. No, still waiting for it actually. Then they get to a point where they just pick up Geras, induced with nails and such, and they just cut off the nails. And then they plan to go home. But before they go home, they mute the new Noob Saibot, and he goes down after one fight. Sad, really. I had so much hope for him. I mean, the trailer shows him as such a badass. But nevertheless, after his face is planted on the floor, again, they get home. People doesn't really like that newbie turned into a goth, so Fire Lord Liu Kang tries to fix his corruption, but only manages to get Subby's original mind back, not his body. Therefore, Subby needs to continue to be an agent of chaos, as he is so fond of putting it. Is that what he called it?
Agent of chaos!
No freaking difference anyway. He's edgy boy no matter what version of himself he tends to be. And do you care to guess what happens next? Titan Havoc and his minions crashes their party. That's supposed to be a mega sigh. Mind you, this is the ending already, so there is going to be a big finale at some point, even though it's not really properly built up for it. So even more fighting occurs. Shocker. And for no reason really, other than filling up screen time. And I mean like, it's no point, story-wise, for them to be so focused on fighting some damn jobbers through the entire thingy. In every chapter, you play as a fighter, and you meet 2 jobbers. You beat the first, a teeny weeny cutscene comes up, and then you fight the next jobber that you previously met. And then Titan Havoc puts the damn Infinity Stones, I mean Komidogu, into his chest and makes a beam. Okay. Noob Saibot then comes over and beats his bum all bloody. And mind you, this is indeed the boss battle. This is where
the fun begins.
Oh, shut up, you! He was way too damn easy. Not to care in the world for anything proper fun, really. Anyway, Newbie wins and Titan Havoc, a literal god, drops to the floor. Now, where have I seen that before? Now, this truly doesn't make sense. Titan Havoc did show that he could rip his limbs off earlier, making freaking clones of himself, and then instantly grow them back. But after this fight, he can't for some reason. So, after getting more limbs ripped off by Newbie's tentacle hands, he just lays there, like a freaking nugget. He must be so tired after being wasted as a character. No one cares to detain him either, although all the freaking people from the good side just stands there and watches. And then Newbie gets put into a tank. And that's it. Not really much of a story in this one. The chaos part of this expansion, like, what the fuck is even this? And this, and that? The designs of these characters aren't even interesting. Like, what the fuck is happening to Shang? I understand that there's supposed to be chaotic variants of the fighting roster, but this is just lazy. Mohawks and paint? Sharp boobies? Whoa. Is this really the best you can come up with, NetherRealm? But at least some of the new characters are good. I do much enjoy the new version of Newbie Saibot, although in the story he was just in it for like 25% of it, and that's perhaps 30 minutes in total. And he starts as edgy new boy, got knocked down, and then just woke up as Subby again. But he's too selfish and egoistic to behave? Not the worst, but I thought at least that the Noob Saibot personality could be able to shine at least a little bit more. But I guess that we Noob Saibot fans have to take what we can get. He's not only a common goon here though, as he has been in the earlier games and iterations, and the chance for more of him in the future is relatively big. Although we do know what happens next for him after seeing the arcade ending, where he just gets released from the tank that Liu Kang put him into at the end of the story. So I suppose we're not following up on that anymore? Other than that, when it comes to Noob, I haven't mastered him in the slightest, but his gameplay is fun. The hand on his waist is a rather weird thing to involve, looks kinda goofy. I never use it because then his moveset is totally different. I don't like it. We also get some gender-bended versions of Cyrax and Sector. A fun iteration.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
The robot identities that have plagued them from the start of the series, which I personally haven't been a fan of, has now turned into Iron Man-like suits. Now, this concept I like very much. Their suits are creative and you can really feel that in the gameplay. In the story, Cyrax gets the whole character arc where she is with Lin Kuei and then joins the Shiraryu at the end, but ultimately it all feels rushed and unfinished. And Havoc, the big bad of this expansion, is perhaps one of the most underused characters in Mortal Kombat history. And he's got a lot of potential, usually, if the writers could actually give a damn about him. That is. He has been in this franchise since Deception was released, but never had the time to shine properly. In the Mortal Kombat X comic, did more for the character than this game ever did. The comics has him as this awesome and gruesome cleric of chaos. But in this DLC, he's the baddest of bad, and ultimately really freaking generic. And also not really that great of a villain, it turns out. He's all about the mentioned chaos, but nothing about him is really that chaotic. For crying out loud, he also gets a shout out for being a hypocrite.
The only chaos you revere is yours. You are no skeleton. You are a hypocrite.
Which in some ways adds up. I kinda did have my hopes up for this for nothing. I mean, it's really sad, because the Aftermath story expansion from Mortal Kombat 11 was really good, beside its flaws and such. The length was good, the girth was good. The story was good for the most part. It even had a final confrontation with the first ever protagonist and the first ever antagonist of the game franchise, which made it come full circle. So epic! As for the rest of the characters like Raiden, Kung Lao, Geras, Smoke and Johnny Cage, they're here, but we barely see them. It's fair not having them so much in the gameplay since the new DLC characters are supposed to shine, but if you're going to include them in the story, at least have them do something other than joke around and reference stuff. And also not have them drop in at the start, then vanish, and then walk out of a portal all awesome and epic-like, when we know that they won't even have a particular role at the end. But that's the end of it. I have nothing more to add. So I'll just go and continue to grind in the invasions mode for no particular reason. And as always, thank you for watching. Fare thee well for now.